then trying to live the life and fight like that man Jesus fought. Well, then if that inspires me to want to stop doing what I was doing, and I see that man is doing a work likened unto that which I read in the scriptures. I wasn't back 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. But I can read a scripture and point to a man that's setting that same example in front of me. Then if I decide that I'm going to follow that man into the gates of hell with a gasoline jacket on to save one of my brothers and sisters, if my wife got a problem with that, to hell with you. Word is bond to Allah. Because this is life and life more abundantly, brothers and sisters. Now, some of you may have a problem with that. But brothers and sisters, we got to learn to love God more than we love our family. And we got to learn to love God's servant more than we love our family. And I know some may be like, I ain't with all that. Well, all right. Stick around, you're going to learn. You're going to learn today. All praises are due to Allah. Look, that's how Jesus was and is. He said, whatsoever the Father command me to do, that I do. A soldier follows a command. It's snowing outside. It's a storm. The buses done stop. The trains done stop. They ain't even flying no planes out. You still gonna try to make it to Savior's Day? You damn right. I'm waiting for the call to let me know there's a plane going out and I'm jumping on that plane. You still gonna go out and sell a paper? You damn right. You still gonna go into them projects and try to get to those people? Somebody died over there, but you can't make it. We gonna do it. We going. See, you know, brothers and sisters, we really, you know, gonna have to learn about what sacrifice is all about. Because it's all tied into our condition and how we got in this condition. That's right. Talk about it, brother. And we weren't on the slave ships. That's right. And we didn't go through the Middle Passage. And we wasn't on the plantations, but we're on the shoulders of those. What are you willing to sacrifice? Right. So that our people never go through that again. Right. That when God comes and he manifests himself to us and gives us an example in front of us, then we follow that example. And that's what Jesus was doing. That's right. Following the example of his Father. When the disciples said to Jesus, Master, teach us how to pray. This is from the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Jesus replied, pray on this wise. Our Father. Our Father. He didn't say my Father, our Father. See, Jesus can't be Father and Son. Many of us try to look at him being the Father and he's the Son. No, he said our Father. Well, if he's our Father, then what he did for Jesus, he is able to do for you and me. If you want Allah God to father you, then as Jesus was obedient to him, we have to be obedient to him. Jesus set such a perfect example that all you have to do is put your foot down where he put his foot down. His Father will make you into what he made Jesus. This is what we have in the example of Minister Farrakhan. And this should be the example of every preacher and teacher that's over any congregation, that you're following in obedience to the Father. That's right. But if we don't have a proper understanding and we believe in a mystery God as the Father, then you're not going to be able to follow in obedience, because your glasses of how you see the Father is very dim. That's right. So look at this, brothers and sisters. He says it is the same with Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He was a soldier and a commander, but Muhammad was raised to eminence from a low state. He asked the question, do you want to be raised? How many of us want to be raised from our state of condition in mind to a higher state, a higher level of condition in mind? I know I do. Knowledge is infinite. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Right.
So Prophet Muhammad said, he who is in search of knowledge is on the path of God until he returns. So once you and I start getting knowledge of God, knowledge of the self, knowledge of the devil, the time and what must be done, we got to stay on that path to keep growing. Because if you get off the path, then as we would say, you fall in victim, you die inwardly.
That's right.
But Prophet Muhammad was a soldier. So the minister said, if you want to be raised, then you have to practice being a soldier.
Right.
Being obedient to a son who is obedient to a father who is obedient to Allah God.
Oh, right.
See, the prophets of God are the sons of God.
That's right.
In the book of Job, it says the sons of God came to present themselves before God, and the devil was among them.
That's right.
Satan rolling with the sons of God. Satan rolling with people that are striving to be obedient to God. And that's why as a soldier, we're taught to walk our post in a perfect manner, keeping always on the alert of everything within sight, sound, or hearing. Stay awake with us, brother. No praises are due to Allah. As soldiers for God, we don't become so naive that we think everybody that say peace, everybody that says assalamu alaikum, everybody that says I bear witness there's no God but Allah who came in the person of Master Muhammad, that we let our guard down. Because that's what the sons of God did in the book of Job. They didn't know Satan was rolling with them. Here they are standing before God, and God had to point out Satan in the ranks. So that means Satan going to wear the same clothes as the righteous. Is that right? Mentally and physically. But they're satanic. His ways are like a snake of the grafted type. Her ways are like a snake of a grafted type. They talk straight words out of their mouth but do crooked actions. All you got to do is analyze and watch and see who's being a snake among you. And then we get rid of snakes. Our lessons teach us, why does Muhammad or any Muslim murder the devil? Because he is a snake of the grafted type and will not keep and obey the laws of Islam. So Muhammad learned that they could not be saved, they had to be murdered. How do we murder devils? We don't allow slack talk. We don't allow gossip. We don't allow backbiting. We don't allow slander. You whisper something in one brother's ear about another brother, then we bring that brother forward and say, now say it in his face. See? Because that's how you get rid of snakes. That's how you get rid of gossip mongers. That's how you get rid of slanderers. Who taught us this? The Son of God taught us this, who was a messenger in our midst that grew to be a Messiah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And in following his footsteps, Minister Farrakhan teaches us the same. But all that's spelled out in the Bible and the Holy Quran. It's spelled out in there, brothers and sisters, but we have to have an example in front of us. Now, why is Minister Farrakhan talking about Jesus as a son obedient to a father who ends up becoming a father, but then using Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in the same vein? Why make that comparison? Because the fulfiller who comes at the end of the seal of all the prophets is Jesus and Muhammad in one. Y'all all right? Look at this. Jesus says, our Father which art in heaven. Now we're going to deal with some principles of what it's like to be a father and the proper way to be a father according to the Lord's Prayer. Is that right? Now those of you that thought that Muslims don't believe in Jesus and that we don't read the Bible, you can really learn today. All right? Because Minister Farrakhan has been teaching us this for a long time, and Elijah Muhammad raised us off of the Bible. And then taught us Quran.
That's right. Jeez, brother.
Our Father which art in heaven. What does that say to men? If you are a father, you should exist in your house in an elevated state. Everybody should look up to Father. Hallowed be thy name. That which is hallowed is that which is sacred. Some of us did not have a father like that. We never looked up to our fathers.
That's right.
See, so now, if you're a father and you're in the household, then you should be looked up to.
That's right. Sure.
Not meaning that people are worshiping you. Let's get proper with our understanding of what it means to be looked up to. but because of your example in you performing your role as a father.
Yeah. Good example.
The service that you provide should be looked up to.
Right.
Is that right? Okay. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come.
Come on.
How do you know, Minister Farrakhan says, well, put it this way. How do you and I know that Farrakhan is a father? See, this is a deep one.
Come on.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad stood up off the word and teaching that Master Farad Muhammad taught him, Allah in the person.
That's right.
He said he taught him for 3.5 years and then went away.
Come on.
He met him in 1931. By 1934, the man was gone.
Right.
So from 1935 on to 1975, Elijah Muhammad stood by himself.
Yeah.
In the absence of his teacher, in the physical absence of his teacher, and taught based off of his faith and his love in what that man taught him.
Right. That's right. Jesus.
He said he met God. Wasn't nobody else with him.
Right.
You see? And some of his own brothers and sisters, mainly his brothers who was around when Master Farad Muhammad was around, in the beginning stages wanted to kill him.
That's right. That's right, brother.
But the point that I'm getting at is that he raised a nation of Islam.
Yeah. Right.
And in 1975, after he departed, the government, which already was going to work against the nation and all other black organizations, started coming down harder on the Nation of Islam.
That's right.
In every way possible. Got us tied up in probate court and everything, started taking away the property, freezing assets and everything, and then all at the same time, Warith Deen Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, started taking the nation in another direction, feeling that that was the right way to go with the broader aspect of Islam.
Right. All right.
Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
The nation fell
That's right, brother. That on his face, brother.
because the believers got away from the cardinal principle of point that made us shine, that made us stand, that made us discipline. And that point was that Allah appeared in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. Once we dismissed that point, we dismissed How to Eat to Live, we dismissed the FOI, we dismissed MGT and GCC, we dismissed Muhammad University, we dismissed the program.
That's right. Think about that. That's right. Good point, brother. That's right.
Minister Farrakhan stood up in 1977
That's right.
to raise the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and make his great commission known.
That's right. Jesus, brother.
He went by himself. He went to a lot of the old followers. Many of them did not want to help him.
That's the truth.
None of them wanted to help him.
That's right. Jesus, brother.
So he stood up by himself with about 2 or 3 others in 1977.
That's right.
Working out of the basement of his house. He took out a second mortgage, started the Final Call in 79, and got the Final Call administration built. He did the work based off his faith and love in the Father of our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Who is the Father of supreme wisdom that we have? That is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's the one that taught us who is God. He's the one that taught us who is the devil. He's the one that taught us the origin of the sun, the origin of the original man. He taught us about the thought of how devil was made. He taught us about the thought of how God brought himself into existence. He is the Father of this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. He gave us meaning of Bible and Quran.
That's right.
Minister Farrakhan stood up in the honor of that man and that teaching and following in the footsteps of what his father taught him. As an obedient son,
All right.
he showed and proved to us that he is a father.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So, we're going to run through this as quickly as possible now, brothers and sisters, because we're dealing with principles here. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
So now, it says, thy will be done. As a father, Minister Farrakhan teaches, you have to have vision. Something in your head. What do you see for yourself and your family? What do you want for yourself and your family? Whatever you see and whatever you want that is of good, by faith you can bring it into existence. With Allah, God, there is nothing that you cannot do. Where there's no vision, the people perish. Is that right? That's the words of Jesus. Knowledge produces vision. So this knowledge, brothers, gives us the vision that we need for our household. In a supreme wisdom, in the problem book, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, by way of Master Farad Muhammad's teaching, we are shown how we're supposed to think for our family and how we're supposed to think for our nation. When you're dealing with a family of you and your wife and your children, you got to start surmising in your mind how many loaves of bread is going to be needed for the year. How much chicken you going to need? How much rice you going to? You don't think for the week and for the day and for the month. You think years down the line, and that's how you add up what kind of salary you need to be coming in. Now I know to some of us that may be so far in our way of thinking, like, well, I'm done then if I got to think like that. But when you think about it,
go on, brother.
You go for a job, what kind of salary you looking for and why? Is it because you want to look good? Because you want a car and you want a house? What about your wife and your family? Because as a father, you're here to serve them, to make sure they're protected, to make sure they got food, to make sure they got clothing, to make sure they got shelter. You denying yourself for their sake in the name of God, who blessed you with that woman and blessed you with those children. You didn't abracadabra make it happen yourself. You didn't make the sperm cell go to the egg. God did. So what do you give back to show your honor as a father?
Think about that.
But if there's no knowledge, there's no vision. And whatever knowledge, degree of knowledge you have is going to determine the limitation of your vision. But then the willpower to go and make that vision come into reality. What's the example that's in front of you? Who's the example in front of you? Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
So as it goes on, we have to understand. It says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. As a father, we have to have the vision. Then it says, give us this day our daily bread.
That's right.
Our daily bread. The minister says, fathers have got these hungry children out there, and you may have given them some bread yesterday. You may have sent your little payment. Maybe last year. And you figured that what you sent last year was sufficient. The prayer says, give us this day our daily bread. That means every day a father has to be producing for his children and for his family. Every day. You know, this is something that I know, as a man. If we are not equipped with a proper knowledge about ourselves and God and our people and the plight of us as a people, we'll continue to be suffering with impediments in our thinking. That's right. I say that to say this. Some of us are so selfish because we are ignorant to sacrifice and justifying our existence through God's eyes. That we think that when we come out of our pocket, out of money that we worked hard to make, and a majority of it has to go to taking care of family and bills and responsibility. As men, in our selfishness, we get this disgruntledness about ourselves. And sometimes we'll stray from handling our responsibility, putting it on the back burner, because we just want to be able to have the comfort of pleasure of what we did throughout the week to make that money. And it's natural, but it goes against principle.
That's right. Come on, brother. Come on.
We have to take care of our family.
That's right. First.
If you don't take care of your family, then you're really doing a disservice to God.
That's right. Talk on it.
When it starts talking about, look, give us this day our daily bread, some of us can get caught up. You may have had a bad relationship. Things didn't work out. You and the sister are no longer together. Y'all got children together.
Teach on that. Yes, sir.
You're not doing what you're supposed to do. She goes down to child support court and get you to paying child support. Right away, you get an attitude. It's a natural attitude. But that's because we're not looking at ourselves properly in one sense, and at other time, it can be out of vindictiveness.
Yeah, talk about it.
Because you know, sisters, sometimes y'all can cut a brother too short to sit down. Based off of your attitude, because things didn't go the way that you hoped it would go and expected it to go, and it's both your faults. But now, I just don't want him to be happy. So I'm going to make sure I do X, Y, and Z. However, we should not get an attitude at our children.
That's right.
That because now you're paying child support, now it becomes the hell with the children. They better not ask me for nothing. I give your mother such and such every month. It comes out of my paycheck every 2 weeks, and you ain't got them. What's she doing with the money? See that? That's Satan.
That's right. That's right.
And that's somebody that has allowed their attitude to cloud their thinking and forgetting all about the fact that God blessed you with this child.
That's right.
And you and I are duty bound to make sure that they're taken care of.
That's right. That's right.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you move on and you get into a whole nother marriage and have more children, you still got a responsibility
That's right. Your child.
with the other children. Is that right?
That's right.
See, being a father is about being responsible. And I raised my sons up that way, and my second set of sons, I'm raising them up the same way. Being a father is about being responsible. Being a man is about being responsible. If you don't want to be responsible, you don't really want to be no man.
Talk to the black man, brother.
So you got to give that daily bread. Is that right?
Daily.
And lead us not into temptation. The minister shows and points out to, look, whenever you deprive your children of that which they need, you allow them to be tempted into something else in a direction that they shouldn't go.
That's right. Talk about it, brother.
You depriving them of the money, you depriving them of your presence, you depriving them of that word, because sometimes if you're in one of those situations where you're not living with your children, you don't want them to see the stern side of yourself.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
You want every day to be happy whenever they see you.
Yeah.
No, you still got to live by the principles and standards of God and of a human being and of a natural father, regardless of whether they like you or not. You know if you stand on truth, if God be for you, who could be against you? But if you hold back those certain truths and those standards at a time when it needs to be said, you will allow them to be tempted by this world. And then they get caught up in all that crap going on out there. And you got to find out, well, where's I'm at fault in this? You can't say, it's your mother's fault. You know, because we broke up and she talking about me and this, that, and she don't let me see you. No.
Come on.
If you have access to your children, you need to see your children. I don't care if it's about a cell phone or text message, whatever, you better bring some truth to your children. You get wind of something that's going on, you step to that. Listen, I heard X, Y, and Z. Is that true? Did you do that? Nah. Well, look, let me just say this.
Come on.
And drop that knowledge. Make truth be known. As we would say, make knowledge be born. So that child know if he did it or you didn't do it. I know I heard what my daddy said. So whether he knows or not, he just put a word in my ear that is going to affect, hopefully, how I'm thinking and how I'm acting. So that when the truth comes into light, you can go right back to, didn't I tell you? And you told me what when I told you that? See? Now, it's not to the point where we deal with our discipline of our children like if though they're our enemy.
Come on. No, sir.
Is that right?
That's right.
Because if you're coming behind the Father, then we have to have beneficence and mercy. So the minister gives the comparison with Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, where it talks about the Holy Quran in the Al-Fatiha, the opening. Which opens up Bismillah Rahman Rahim, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. If Allah's beneficent and Allah's merciful, then the father over the household has to practice beneficence and has to practice mercy. All praises are due to Allah. It says, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise belongs to Allah, the Lord, nourisher and sustainer of the world. So you and I as fathers,
Come on, brother minister.
we do not do your good deeds as a dad seeking praise or seeking honor. We do good deeds because it is right to do good. In other words, we're righteous for righteousness' sake.
That's right.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Now I know for many of us, not some, for all of us that have come up under oppression, your self-esteem and my self-esteem was crushed until you come into a knowledge of God and a knowledge of self.
That's right. That's right.
It may be crushed more than others, but all of our self-esteem was crushed under oppression.
That's right.
That's right, brother.
So as a man, when you do good, when you sacrifice for your family, and then the ingratitude is shown, what's the first thing you say? After all I've done, but why did you do it, brother?
Think about that. Good question.
Yeah, I know it's painful,
Talk to
but
him.
why did you do it? Did you do it because that's what Allah wants you to do through the example He gave you in His man Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or did you did it seeking some gain?
Think about that.
Because if any of that vanity is in us, and it's in some of us more than others, you gotta crush it.
That's right.
Because Allah will lift us up more so if we are doing all that we do for our family in His name. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
So we don't look to seek praise.
That's right. Just do it.
The minister gave an example how one of his daughters called him one day and said, "Happy Father's Day, Daddy, I have a gift for you." And he told him, "You are the gift."
That's right.
All praises due to Allah. Just continue to be a good daughter. Continue to be a good son. And I got the gift that I needed. Is that right? And that's what we got to grow to be like with our children.
That's right.
Maliki Yawmuddin, meaning master of the day of judgment or the law of requital.
Come on.
He is not a judge, he is a master.
Come on, man.
Talking about Allah now,
That's right.
who's the father of all fathers.
All right.
You and I cannot be
Take it down.
the master,
Yes, sir.
All right.
but we can be a judge in our
Come
household.
on now. That's right.
All right.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What do we mean by that? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in his guidance to us, we have to represent justice as fathers.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
We talk about this flag that represents freedom, justice, and equality. It has to be like that in the household. It has to be like that in the mosque. It has to be like that when we practice our everyday life. What do I mean? If you roll into the household and there's a disagreement going on with your son and your wife, or there's a disagreement going on with siblings,
All right. Come on.
brother and sister, sister and sister, brother to brother, you and I got to represent justice in that
That's
equation.
right.
That's right.
That's right.
I can't take sides of my wife.
No, sir. Don't do
It becomes a hard call, but justice is justice.
That's right.
If the child is right,
Right.
then we got to deal on the truth of that righteousness.
That's right. Come on.
And regardless of what kind of attitude that flares up, you got to stand with justice. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
If the children are going back and forth with one another, and one children has been disobedient all the time with you, and the other child is always being obedient, but in this sense they're wrong,
All right.
you can't stand on the side of the child that's been disobedient.
No, sir.
You got to stand with the truth
That's right.
and bring justice to the whole disagreement. Is that right?
That's right.
Master of the day of judgment. You know? So now, as we go on, he says, where was that? Maliki Yawmuddin, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Meaning, thee alone do we worship, thine aid we seek. He says there is a singularity of focus of the believers in God, and what you as a husband want from your wife is singularity of focus on you and on me. But we are so deficient that we create adultery.
Come on now.
Oh, we getting ready to get deep for a second.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The woman, he says, is not adulterous by nature.
That's right. Right.
Step back. Come back forward. The woman, he said, is not adulterous by nature. She is adulterous by circumstance. She would be faithful to us if we could complete her desire for a man. You know, this compares with what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, wherever you find a no good woman, you find a no good man that made her that way. And because of the way the streets have shaped many of us, it's hard to believe that statement I just made. But that's what the father, Elijah Muhammad, taught us. Minister Farrakhan gives a more expanded version of that by stating this, incongruent to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad: the woman is not adulterous by nature. She is adulterous by circumstance. She would be faithful to us if we could complete her desire for a man. He says we do not care whether she completes our desire as a woman. It seems like we are always looking someplace. But I am here to tell you that the Quran says one is better for you if you but knew. All right now. All right now. Y'all all right? I know it's a little extended, brothers and sisters, but this is necessary, especially for the black man and for the black woman. Singularity of focus.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have to have singularity of focus on our wife, and she has to have singularity of focus on us as a husband.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Otherwise, heads start wandering.
All right, then.
Thoughts start wandering.
Come on.
She has to know that she is uppermost in our life.
That's right.
Outside of Allah and His Messenger. She got to know that.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's
And we can't take it for granted, and neither can she take it for granted with us. Yeah, ain't too much bearing witness on that. See? Yeah. No, this pendulum swings both ways, brothers and sisters. Because the self needs feeding.
Yes, sir. That's
The self of every individual in here needs feeding. I don't care how much we deny, man. I don't need all that. Yes, you do.
Come on, you gotta talk to us.
We are created as social beings.
yes, sir.
Don't take me for granted, and I shouldn't take you for granted.
That's right.
Is that right? So that singularity of focus helps to keep the relationship live and rich. And sometimes we can get so caught up in our everyday lives and things that we're doing to complete our role and responsibility, we forget about that.
Yes, sir.
Or by the end of the day, we too tired
Come on.
to yeah, babe, something like, nah, and go to sleep. You know, or just walk in the house, yeah, walaikum salam, you know, and go on with business as usual, and that business is usually getting things done. See, brothers and sisters, as righteous people, we're always working. I know I am. Only time I stop working is when I close my eyes. If I get a chance to just lean back and raise my feet, I'm like, oh, praise is due to him. I'm serious. I don't know about y'all, but it's from the time I open my eyes till I close my eyes, I'm working doing something for somebody.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Very little for self.
Yes, sir. That's
On a singularity focus. Because everything is still dealing with self.
All right.
When I eat, okay, that's for me.
yes, sir.
I pray, that's for me. Everything else is family, nation, and you know, so
All right.
those of you who don't even have to deal with all that, I don't even understand why there's so any complaints. You need to sit around some of these Muslims and find out what they do on a daily basis. You'll find like, dang,
That's right.
I'm doing all that. I don't even want to tell you what I was about to complain about. But let us move on. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
All praises are due to Allah. So we got to be careful with that singularity of focus when it comes down to your wife, when it comes down to your husband.
Yes, sir.
At times when you may not be thinking about it, we got to get more to thinking about it.
That's
All
right.
right.
You know, put it in practice.
Right.
Even if you're just bringing a flower home. Or if you're just trying to get to the point where it's like, look, you know what? I'm going to make a date night once a month that I'm going to stick to. I ain't letting my wife know it's a date night.
Right.
But she's going to realize after a while, I notice on a certain day every month, we doing something. Yeah, baby. This is your day.
That's right. That's right.
You see what I mean? Of honor. Is that right? And then try to stick to it. And then after that becomes infectious, maybe you may do something every week, or you may do something every day. It doesn't mean it has to be something all glamorous. It's the principle of what we're trying to do. Is that right? You know? And then hopefully you don't have to say, well, you know, the self needs feeding too. No, because the male is not like the female.
Come on.
she's doing it already, but then she's gonna put more focus. But look, practice it and see. Okay? Allah is the best knower with all of that, because I can start going on and on with that. Iqtina sirata mustaqim. Sirata ladina amta alayhim. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors. Every father, Minister Farrakhan says, should be in a position to give favors to his children. When they obey and do good, favor them. And the ones that rebel, do not favor them. That's wise counsel. Is that right? Because then the child grows up learning, the more I do good, the more I'm going to receive. God will reward me. Is that right? And then when the child is not doing good, sees like, they of course going to get jealous. Of course they're going to say, well, why did he get it and I can't get it? And they're going to cry and they're going to do whatever. As they get older, they're going to throw tantrums in another way. But you and I got to always tell them, because she obeyed me.
That's right.
He obeyed me. And we got to be able to balance it where we don't cause enmity between brothers and sisters, like Cain killing Abel. Envy coming up. No, it has to be done in a balanced way where the child realizes you're inspiring them to vie in righteous competition, in the way of obedience to daddy, in the way of obedience to mommy. So in other words, as a child does good, have some kind of reward.
That's right. That's right.
Ain't got to be no big glamorous thing, but a reward children accept. I mean, the littlest thing you deal with giving to a child, you would think you done lit up their world.
That's right.
Seriously.
That's right.
We get all caught up in the materialistic part, just the littlest thing. We're going to go on a nature walk today. You watch that child light up. What? I know for a fact. A nature walk? Come on, daddy. Let's go. Is that right? No, I'm serious. Oh, man. So we show favor. And as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan closes this, he says, to me, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been a wonderful counselor, a wonderful father. He said he called me to Chicago once and gave me guidance on a speech that he wanted me to make. Now, at the time when the minister was called to Chicago, he said in his own stupidity, he felt he needed to go in another direction with the speech, other than the way that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was guiding him. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad picked up on that thought and said, brother, I sit at my desk and order farmland for a nation. All I ask them to do is tell me what it looks like. And I tell them whether they should buy it. I tell them what cows to buy, even though I never saw the cows. I just tell them to look into the cow's mouth and what to look for in the cow's mouth. And I tell them whether they should buy it like a god.
Come on, brother.
You don't think I can give you a speech to say to a group of people that will win them over? The minister said once the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him that, he changed his whole thought. See, what we don't understand is what God looks like in a man. I'm telling you, Elijah Muhammad is God. No, that's exact. He's not Almighty God. He's a mighty God, but he's not the Almighty God. He's a wonderful counselor, the Prince of Peace, the mighty God. Unto us a child is born. A son is given. He raised up the nation of Islam. And he told Minister Farrakhan, brother, when I'm gone, you can sit in my seat as a father over the house. Farrakhan is the father of the Nation of Islam. He's sitting in the seat as the father. He's sitting in the seat of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In the Quran, where you hear Allah talking about raising a ruler, putting a ruler in the earth. And he said, and the angels say, what will you place in the earth except for that which caused mischief in the shedding of blood? We celebrate your praise and we extol your holiness. In other words, the angels are saying, look, we know the history of what man would do. We know he's going to cause mischief. He's going to cause the shedding of blood. It was already written in advance. So in the Quran, where that's being written in the second surah, it's talking about the ruler that has been ruling for the past 6,000 years. This white man has caused mischief and the shedding of blood, but he was a sign of another ruler that will come that will rule in righteousness. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
I am going to place a ruler in the earth. God comes in the person of Master Farad Muhammad to make a man. In the beginning of the book of Genesis, it says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. Well, brothers and sisters, I want to say to you, we are in our Genesis right now. I'm talking about us as black people. This is our Genesis. Because in the book of Daniel, there's 70 weeks that are styled as 70 years. That's given to Daniel as a vision of what's going to happen with his people. And those 70 years are stored up for the righteous to restore things and for reconciliation for the Prince of Peace. Who's the Prince of Peace? The Prince of Peace is that son that's born unto us. Wonderful Counselor, the mighty God, the Prince of Peace. Well, was he born 2,000 years ago, or does he come at the end of Satan's rule? He's born at the end of Satan's rule. Satan ruled for 6,000 years. The 6,000 years is up. From Abraham to Moses was 2,000 years. From Moses to Jesus was 2,000 years. And Jesus been gone for 2,000 years. That's 6,000 years. God said after that time, I'm coming. And I'm going to raise up a man. I'm going to judge that nation. And I'm going to raise my nation up and put them in the promised land. And they will grow to a good old ripe age. Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad raised the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And after he left him, the 70 weeks, which is 70 years of the book of Daniel, came into play. So as I said last week, as we close, from 1935 to 1975 was the first 40 years of that 70 years of grace. Because the messenger of God is grace. He's the father of the house, establishing God's rule, establishing God's way, the grace period to get everyone to receive the truth and accept it or reject it is 70 years. So after 1975, another 20 years from 75 to 95 completed 60 years of grace. What happened in 1995? From 77 to 95, Minister Farrakhan was working to reestablish what Elijah Muhammad started by the grace of Allah. And the Honorable and Master Farad Muhammad and his Christ put their stamp of approval for the world on Minister Farrakhan with the Million Man March. Oh yes, brothers and sisters. And after that time, there was 10 more years of grace left, and the minister came back in 2000 with the Million Family March, and then closed it out in 2005 with the Millions More movement. That ended the 70 years. We're dealing with the mercy of Allah right now. The judgment is on. And that's why we have to go by these principles of what it means to be a father and become reestablish ourselves as fathers in our house and fathers in our community, because the angel of death has entered into America, and it's in the black community and it's in the white community. You see all these senseless killings going on, brothers and sisters? Our babies being stabbed to death, our babies being shot, children of a man's own household becoming his worst enemy. You got little young white boys going into schools with submachine guns taking out many children. But when the angel of death comes, you and I gotta have the blood of the Lamb on the doorposts of our mind. The Lamb of God is that wonderful Counselor, that mighty God, that Prince of Peace. He's Jesus the Christ. We see him in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The way that that man has raised us and taught us. If we don't practice the righteousness of God that's given to us through the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the example of Minister Farrakhan, then this angel of death is going to touch our family. We're in the time of judgment, and it's time for the true father to stand up. And that's the father of civilization, the original man, the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth. God says, God of the universe, God said, let us make man. And I'm telling you, Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made a man in our midst through Minister Farrakhan. You looking at God walking in a man in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Happy Father's Day, family, and I thank you for listening to these words as I greet you all in peace. Assalamu alaikum. All praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah. All praises are due to Allah.